Greetings, aloha, ilakesh, and aloha. On the last presentation, it's been pointed out to me that I may have given an idea that creates a false impression, so I'd like to clarify that. When I said about the birth from above and then what is most likely a 3-year period where you then see the son much older as a young man and who calls you father. The implication may have been taken from what I've said, that when that happens that I would be no more, because I said that I may only have 3 years to go. Maybe that will be so, maybe that won't. It depends if I want to play the part of Enoch and be taken, or whether I want to assume and play the part of Jesus, or as Christ, whatever you want to call it. I am what I am, because I made a few notes. I am the first person in the present tense. I'm going to come back to that in a little while, because I'd like to talk about awareness. Now, it's often said, as within, so without. So I'd like to use an analogy that I think you can all relate to. When you consider yourself as a road user, be it a pedestrian, a cyclist, a motorist, any interaction with that road as a human, there is a clear and present danger, particularly if you are a pedestrian, that if you do not look and listen, you will potentially be leaving yourself open to being hit by a 30-ton truck. Now, fair enough, if you happen to be a Terminator in a Hollywood film, then you will obviously survive it. But in this outside reality, I think it will be highly unlikely. But like in everything in the outer reality, as to compare to the internal world, it is a mirror and it is a reflection. And the key line in the film Terminator is, the future is not set. S-E-T-T. But if God is man, so man can find that he is God, then we do not collectively co-create the reality that we want from our outward projections of ourselves. But going back to this, being a road user implies awareness. Yes, you still get lapses because there are distractions like that sat-nav, that CD player, the radio, the distractions of daily life, so your mind is not focused entirely on that driving. But if you do not have the awareness and do not anticipate, which comes from experience with driving, if you are the driver of a vehicle, you need to be aware of that child or that dog that might run in front of the road. How wide is that road that you are on? What are the road conditions? What are the visibility conditions? Now, what if we transpose that state of mind, of awareness, into our daily external life? But it comes back to I am the first person in the now, to have that driving road user awareness as a conscious state of mind would drastically alter the interaction we have with each other. I would suggest it would be a better state of being collectively. As I've said on previous presentations, sometimes it can be just one single word that will spark the imagination, and that has manifested from that spark of creativity and using my imagination and drawing on the experiences that I've created into this physical reality, what I'm about to say here. Remember that this world is a reflection. On one hand, they want you to take the news seriously. They give you TV series and, of course, that famous saying that was implanted in so many of us, so it almost becomes like a ritual chant: you cannot be serious. I suggest that you can, but from a state of unconditional love at the same time. I am smiling, I am happy, although the external may not appear to show that, because I am being serious at the same time. I'm on a parallel within oneself, because dimensions are everything. The diamond mind, the gem in eye. Remember, you don't have to be born under a particular birth sign to be any of the 12, because you contain all of them within oneself anyway. So we come to the word in question and we look at the mirror image of it. The word is adamant. I remember quite some time ago, because I think of Adam and the Ants and Adamant in the early 80s. It was also the name of the porcelain urinals, Twyford's Adamant. You can look at the images of gentlemen's urinals if you want to check for yourself. But if that is not quite literally taking the piss, I don't know what is. Because what is adamant? Adamant. Atom Ment. Ment is mind. It's a state of mind. When you are at, it is in the present. Om is the om sound. Add a man to God. Adamant, the T, remember, the highest level that I can get to, the T. The thought, the creativity, the enactment of being God. So let's look at the word mind. I just went on a straightforward Google search for any of this that I'm going to read out here. The mind, the element of person that enables them to be aware of the world and their experiences, to think and to feel, the faculty of consciousness and thought. That's as a noun. Now, as a verb, the illustrations given on the Google search are to be distressed, annoyed or worried by. And they use a saying, I don't mind the rain, is the opposite. Regard as important, feel concern about is another state of mind. It's a feeling. This is the critical part with it. As Neville Goddard said, the secret is in the feeling. Now the word mind, according to this search, comes from Old English Gemind, spelt Gemynd, gem mind, gem in eye, meaning memory, thought, and it's of Germanic origin from the Indo-European root meaning revolve in the mind, to think, shared by Sanskrit manas and Latin mens. So we'll just go over this again. Revolve in the mind. Now, perhaps the whole idea of what science is trying to tell you. A little side note here, a little game we're going to play. You're a billionaire. You're looking to invest a lot of money in a potential. So you decide you're going to set up your own space agency. Well, let me put it to you this way. As a business plan, if you go back to all the money that is spent by NASA, do you think that would be a good, sound business investment? Would you say you are of sound mind if you were to make an investment? Because for all the money invested, what really has come back? Because an investment is a speculation that you will grow your original investment and get far more back. It's something to think about. I don't want to get into the realms of whether it is or isn't. Now, interestingly, the Sanskrit that mind comes from is manas. Well, immediately I was drawn to the song by UB40, Ivory Madonna, Waiting for the Manna. Well, the manna is the state. It is the power of Christ. The Ivory Madonna is the Virgin Mother, because it is a seed implanted as a thought. Because this is all going on internally within one's self. And of course, you have the 12 mansions, the 12 zodiacs, the 12 hours, because they are ours. Remember, there is nothing made that was not made. Collectively, if we are God, in the form of man, we have to take responsibility for every outside projection. And remember, scion means projection. So the 12 man scions, the 12 mansions, it's where you get the word science. But remember, it's SCI, it's sky. Sky ants. Just like they want you to be Adam ants. Because you're a tomb. You're in a tomb. But atom, when you are at the sound, the vibration, the word. And think about what is mind. Well, it's my, it's N, as in enlightenment, as in Lord, and then it's D, which is deity, which is death. It is all about states of mind, the part of the mind that you need to hand over from your personalised self that you feel and think that you are, when you realise that you are God. When you hand over the control to the Father and allow the Father to operate an experience through you, then the D of mind is no longer death, because you have a lowercase and an uppercase which are opposites. In the lowercase you have that line of the I, but the circle is at the lowest level and it's looking to the left. But in its highest state, in its capital form, You now have that line, and you have a circle that is looking to the right. So we have a few other words that have come from this. The mind, the ment, because they are one and the same through the vowel shift. The D and the T are interchangeable from the Germanic. And of course the vowel shift accounts for the I and the E, in the same way that the Aum has become the Om. But you have my, am, I. Miami, for example, you have Mayan. From the mansion, you also have the mention. Now, this can be taken in one of two ways. It can be meant I on, or it can be a men shun when you're adamant that you have the right answer and nothing is going to change you. But to mention something is the vocalization, the speaking of it. It is seen often on social media. Tesla said everything is 3, 6 and 9. I would suggest that's only 75% of that message, because if you have 12 mansions, you also have the number 12, and it's in 4 series of 3s. It is mind, soul and body. It is thought, word and deed. It is Father, Son and Spirit. It is creativity. It is power. And it is objectification, when all 4 groups of 3 become the 12 and it all becomes one in alignment. You now have the whole picture, the whole face, just like time. 12, and the hands are at the centre. So I am is always the first person, the present tense. Well, what is a tense? A tense comes after being B9. It's 1 and 0 together. It's 10 with spiritual energy. That's what is tense. But this outer world is trying to grab your attention with adverse adverts, to entrance you into the entrance, to distract you from finding out who you are. Because that is the question everybody wants the answer to. Who am I? Well, the answer is within the question. Who am I? Well, I am that I am. That I am, because that is the sense of being in the present, in the now. So whatever you want to be, you feel what it would be like to be in that state, to be in being in the now, in that state. You remember the future. This is what it is all about. We come full circle. We come back to ourselves, because remember, the Alpha is the Omega, the beginning and the end, and it is infinite and eternal. Ta-ta for now.